Hello friends, myself Pramod Ubare, and today in this session we will talking about the soft computing and their techniques. Our main objective is, in this session the main objectives are the trade-off between accuracy and complexity. We'll be seeing that this is nothing but the basic tool, the basic thing why the soft computing is evolved. So that's why first of all you have to look at the trade-off between accuracy and complexity. The second objective is what is soft computing. The third one is introduction to neural network. Fourth one is introduction to fuzzy logic. And the fifth and sixth, these are the different techniques which are related to your neural network. And also the neural network and fuzzy logic, these are the two tools which are used comes under your soft computing. So let's come to the point. The first point is your trade-off between accuracy and complexity. In general, in real-time scenario, in real-time systems, we are seeing that as the system is becoming more and more complex, it is for us not possible to reach the appropriate output or appropriate accuracy. Why this would be happen? This happens because as the system is more and more complex, it is very difficult to human to model each and every parameters of that particular system as it is in mathematical terms. So because of that, as we are going for more and more complex systems, the accuracy is reducing. The same thing you can see, the graph shows you the same thing. On the graph you can see on x-axis we have a complexity and on y-axis we have accuracy. Normally in general we are plotting input on x-axis and output on y-axis, so the same way. Complexity is plotted on x-axis, and because of that complexity, the accuracy is hampers the accuracy. And you can see now this is inversely proportional. Complexity, in better terms, you can say as a complexity of systems or complexity of real-time systems. So in general, normal scenario also, if you go for very simple, very easy systems where the parameters which are function of only one or two parameters affects your system, then in that case it comes under very simple, the complexity is very less. So in that case we can go for the higher accuracy. Why this happens? Because of that. Because of less parameters are involved in your system, their modeling, their mathematical modeling, their building blocks will be very simple and very less. So we can achieve the higher accuracy in the lower complexity. But as the complexity goes increasing, as the number of parameters are increasing into your systems, you can't able to map each and every parameters on the line. So that's why it hampers the accuracy and accuracy is reducing. So now so that is the trade-off between accuracy and complexity. But now you might have a question that why we are seeing this accuracy and complexity trade-off. The reason is this is nothing but the evolution of your soft computing. This graph is the evolution of the soft computing. Why soft computing needed? That is the answer lies inside this graph. As we know that the complexity increases, accuracy reduces. So because of that, we need some special techniques which can model your more and more complex terms. If you are going for the normal like digital technology and mathematical modeling, if you are using those techniques for solving any function, solving any expression and to model any system, then it is, and sometimes it becomes, as go for the complexity increases, many times it is impossible to do that with the traditional techniques and traditional tools. So we have to design some different tools and different techniques which can able to solve the more and more complex systems even though their accuracy is less. We can achieve some sorts of accuracy. So for that we need a different techniques or different computing systems, and those computing systems are called as a soft computing. So that's why I first explained about accuracy, trade-off between accuracy and complexity, and this is nothing but the basic, this is nothing but we can say the evolution of your soft computing. This is because of this thing, the soft computing terminology is evolved. Now the next thing is, so what comes under soft computing? Now we see what is the need of soft computing, what we will be doing in a soft computing. So now we'll see what exactly we'll be doing in that one. So in soft computing, it generally consists of two parts in this one. We can say one part is your neural network and another part is your fuzzy logic. neural network and physiology. We'll see one by one. First we'll see about introduction to neural network. So, as we talk about neural network is a tool or is a computing system which replicates the human brain. How human brain works, it replicates the same thing. It's mean that in another terms or another way, we can say that we want to design a machine. Which will work exactly like a human brain. So just want to work like that one. It is not possible to exactly work like this one, but we will be approaching towards a human brain like that one. For that, I will explain you one example. Let's consider a case that suppose there is a hut. So just let's consider there is a hut, and in one corner, the mother is cooking some food, and in another corner, the child is playing over there. In another corner, both are far away from each other. Because of some reason, that mother goes out of the hut, and the child was only one there in the hut. So what happens in that case? What will happen? That child will get attracted towards the fire which is there for cooking, and then what? He will crawl towards that fire, and then what happens? He will crawl towards the fire. He is a child. Just keep it in mind. That person is a child, and he don't know what exactly that is. We know that is a fire, but that child don't know what it is. So he approached towards that fire, and he will try to touch that one. So what will happen? He will touch the fire and he will get burned. Once he get burned, then he will keep himself away from that fire. And then what? He will learn that, okay, now this is something which will harm us, which will harm me. So that's why that is a learning techniques. So what we are learning through experiences. What are the experiences we are getting through different like every day we are getting different experiences, and through that experiences we are learning different techniques. Same way, we want to design a machine which will learn the experiences. What are the experiences provided to that machine? That machine will learn according to that one. So the example, if you compare, the previous example was a child. That first of all, the child don't know that particular fire is harmful for him. But later, once he touched that fire, then he learned that is harmful for me. So next time, even though that child's mother is not there, he will not go over there. He will stay away from that one. What this signifies? This signifies that child is learning something from that one. Every day he is getting some experience. He is learning it and he is growing up. So same way, we want to design a machine. The basic motive of this neural network is we want to design a machine which will learn from different day-to-day experiences, and then that particular system will be evolved and will generate a output appropriately. So just we talked about introduction to neural network over there. So if you want to go in little bit more detail of the neural network, so as I said previously that the neural networks, what exactly it does? It just want to replicate the working of human brain. This was just a motivation of it. We'll just see about the little bit history of the neural network. At initial stage, like long back 50 years back, the neural network was evolved in 50 years back only. But because of some tools were not available properly during those days, for simulation tools, so you can say mathematical tools were not available in plenty amount. There is a deficiency in simulation. So, and because of the digital world was developing very fastly. So that digital world overshadowed over the technology of your neural network. And even though it evolved 50 years back only, that remain as it is. And then digital technology was evolving. But after some years, what happens? Because of digital world, many computers got evolved, and we got some simulation tools, we got simulation platforms over which we can able to simulate different difficult and very difficult algorithms. So again back neural network technology again got evolved, and many new persons were working on that one, and they are simulating those tools on the digital technology like PCs, supercomputers on that one, right? So that was just a history when it is evolved and why not properly evolved, and again because of some simulation tools, again it got increased. So now let's go a little back and we'll see that what is the motivation for that one. You can see in neural network the most important thing is your biological neurons, because in neural network we will be creating artificial neurons which are depends on biological neurons. That means what are the biologically how your biological neurons are working, we will be replicating the same performance in the artificial neural networks. So first of all we need to learn about biological neurons. So if you see, this is one biological neuron and these are the multiple. This is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. There are lots of biological neurons are there which are connected to each other and which are passing the information from one to another. Same way, just consider that this is a biological neuron, this will pass information through this particular thread to another neuron. We'll say that what exactly it is one, but just for simplification right now, what is the information he is having, he will pass the information from this one to another neuron. Again this neuron will send information to the neuron. In this way the neurons are communicating with each other and passing the information from one to another one. And in this fashion the information is transferred from different body or different organs to your brain, and brain is getting inputs from different parts of your body, right? So let's move on the very minor part of your neuron, that is your this one neuron. Let's talk about one neuron. Why? Because we want to replicate that one neuron and we want to create the artificial neuron. So first basic thing we want to learn biological neuron. So this is your biological neuron. The biological neuron mainly consists of 3 parts. First is your soma, second is your dendrites, and third is your axon. It just consists of only 3 parts: soma, dendrites, and axons. This is nothing but a very simple system. If you talk about like general system is having inputs, having out their own outputs, and having their own processing units. Same way, your neurons are also having inputs, outputs, and processing units. So what happens in this one? Your axons are nothing but their outputs. These axons provides the output of your neuron. Your dendrites are nothing but your inputs. Dendrites are nothing but the inputs to the neuron. So dendrites are inputs to the neuron, axons are output to the neuron, and the soma, it is a place where the processing is happening, right? So input, output, and your processing unit, right? So this makes your one system. Very simple system, consists of input, output, and processing unit. So different. What processing exactly happening over here? We have, suppose like consider this 1, 2, 3, and 4. So these are the 4 dendrites we have. So dendrites nothing but what I said before. Dendrites are nothing but acting as a input to your biological neuron. So 1, 2, 3, 4. From these 4 inputs, this is getting the input over here. So suppose consider this is x1, x2. Suppose consider these as x1, x2, this is x3, and this is x4. So these all inputs are coming and accumulating into your soma. That is nothing but your processing unit. So what happens? Some operations, when these all inputs are accumulated into your central process, into your central processing unit, we can say this is a processing unit, soma, biological processing unit. So it is doing some operation on that one, right? Operations might be linear operations, non-linear operations, summations, divisions, what it may be. But what are the inputs are coming over here? These all are accumulated and this is doing some processing on that one. And once the processing is done, it will check for some threshold value. Once that processing done and it cross some threshold value, then particular output will be fired. Output will be fired when this particular input for the system is crossing some threshold value, then this particular thing will be fired. Fired means what happens? There will be some chemicals will be passing through your axons. Once the chemicals are flowing through the axons, then here you can see there is a synaptic gap. As you can see, I just drawn everywhere a synaptic gap. That this is axon of this cell, this is working as output, so this should be working as an input. So for every input and output, there is a gap. It is not directly connected. Even though you can see over here also, this is working as an input, output, this is working as an input. So between these two are not directly connected, there is a gap, and that gap is called as a synaptic gap. So what happens? Whenever this particular axon get fired, then once it fired, then some chemicals are coming over here. These fired chemicals are coming over here, and then because of the chemical is available over here, these two points will be connected through some electric arc or electric charges, or you can say some electric arc will be generated over here because of chemical reactions happening over there, and then this output will get connected to the input of your next soma, and then this will go as an input to the next soma cell or next neuron. Okay, so what happens? Inputs are coming from different sources. Those are coming centrally accumulated over here. The processing is happening on that particular inputs, and then once the processing is done, then axon will get fired. Axon will get fired, then axons will transfer, axons will get fired, then axon will come over here, and this will create electric arc, and because of the electric arc, this axon will fire input of the next soma, and that is nothing but the dendrites of the next soma. So in this fashion, the information is coming into the neuron through different inputs. When the information is accumulated, it is doing processing on the information, and then that information is passed to the next soma. And same way, once the next soma got input, the next soma is distributed to the next soma. So in this fashion, this biological neuron transfer their information, their message to different neurons over there. By looking this structure, can you able to see it replicates something? It replicates the parallel processing. This enhance, or you can say this enrich the parallel processing. What are the processing units we have seen? Like you can see the PCs or computers, or other different technologies we are learning in that one. We have one central processing unit, and what are the processing is happening? That is happening at only one place. It is not happening at multiple places. Right now we have multiple processors like multi-core. We have mobile phones like smartphones, like multi-core smartphones, like we have 3 cores or 4 cores. So that means we have only 4 cores or only 4 cores where the processing is happening. But now just look at this network. If you see, we can say soma 1, second soma, third soma, fourth soma, fifth soma. We have lots of soma in the network. So this is nothing but your parallel processing. This will not talk about the processing at one unit. This talks about processing at different distinguished part of the system. So because of that, the processing will get enhanced, the processing will be more and more faster because of parallel processing. So this gives the benefits of all the parallel processing in it, and because of that we can able to get the more complex terms and more complex systems to model and to evolve. So now what are the main motive of your soft computing? The main motive of the soft computing is to get solution for your more and more complex one. So this is the one reason why neural network is well suited for your soft computing. The one reason is the parallel processing. It has a one parallel processing, so because of that the process will be faster. Now till now we talked about only the biological neuron, but now we have to go for the mathematical neuron. So now we'll see mathematical neuron. Mathematical neuron, the same way, just we want to replicate this one. So same way, just we will draw SOMA will draw inputs like x1, x2, x3, and we can say dot 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 xn. We can give as much input as we want over there. So these are the multiple inputs. So we have n inputs for your system, and this nothing but replicates your SOMA. This is nothing but your inputs, and there is one output. Right? Outputs are nothing but your axon. Axon in a biological form. These are nothing but the dendrites. Biological. In biological neurons, dendrites were inputs, axon were outputs, and the SOMA were the central processing unit. But in this case now, we just call it as these all as the inputs. So these are the names. Whatever I written in a bracket, those are the names from the biological neuron. And now I am writing the names for the mathematical model. So these are nothing but the inputs. So I can say as the inputs over there. This is nothing but your, you can say as a neuron, where the processing happening. That particular part is we are calling as a neuron, and this is y is nothing but your output, right? And in biological, if you compare this mathematical model with the biological one, then inputs are nothing but the dendrites, neuron is nothing but the SOMA, and output is nothing but the axon in the biological, just for the comparison. So what happens in this one? We have inputs over there, x1, x2, x3, x2, xn. These all are inputs. All inputs are coming into the neuron, and then the processing is happening on the neuron, and the neuron is generating the output. So when output will be generated, when this particular input, when all these inputs are accumulated, then because of that accumulation, this input particular will cross some particular threshold value, and once it crosses a particular threshold value, then this neuron will get fired. Neuron will get fired means we will get some output for your Y. This is called as an artificial neuron, because we just replicated, we just made a mathematical model of previously whatever the previously we have seen that biological model, their mathematical model is shown over here. So as we compare your biological neuron and artificial neurons, then in biological neurons, these are dendrites. The parts of biological neurons are dendrites, SOMA, and axon. And if you compare with the artificial neuron, then artificial neuron we have input, terminology input. The input is artificial name for input is a name instead of dendrites. Then neuron is a name instead of SOMA, and output is a name instead of your axon. So what are the term? What are the function does by the axon? That function does by the output term in the artificial neuron. What are the function done by SOMA? That function is done by the neuron in artificial neural network. And what are the function done by your dendrites? The same function will be done by the input parameters over here. But now, to get replicate or to get mathematical modeling of biological neurons, we need to add some extra points or extra features into it. That one feature is called as your biasing. So let me write it somewhere over here. So there is a neuron, and the one term is added, that is your bias. So these are the inputs, which are the variables like x1, x2, x3, dot dot dot, and xn. So we have n number of inputs for your neuron, and right now over here I'm just connecting one fixed bias. That value is some fixed value. In this case, I wrote here 1. That may be 1, 2, 3, 4, might be anything or any value. So this value is fixed. This value is not variable. The input to the neuron, which is fixed, that input is called as a bias. And others, the inputs which are variable, those are normal variable input. Now, consider the case that some of the terms, some of the inputs are more important than some of the other inputs. What is happening over here? We are accumulating all inputs, then we are checking for the threshold, and whenever the threshold got crossed, then your output get fired. So checking for the threshold and getting the output That means what? Suppose the threshold is suppose for 4. We consider the threshold value is 4 and the value we are getting over here is suppose like 1, right? And suppose the operation over here that we are doing that is a summation operation. So for each and every giving inputs as a 1. So 1, 1, 1, 1. Suppose these are the 10 inputs. So if you have 10 inputs, then what will be the sum value here? 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Like this will happen in a 10 times. The sum will be 10 plus your bias. The sum is 11. Now this sum 11 is crossed your threshold of 4. So that your input is more than your threshold. So whenever input is more than the threshold, this neuron will get fired. And once this neuron get fired, then output will be 1. So if it is neuron will not get fired, output will be 0. Suppose for example, number of inputs are 2. Consider number of inputs are 2. Each input is 1. 1, 1. Summation 1 plus 1, 2. And now plus 1 bias becomes 3. Is it crossing the threshold? No, it is not crossing the threshold. So what about the output? This neuron will not fire under that particular condition, right? So that is the behavior, or that is the way how it works. So over here x is equal to 1. So what is the, but in some cases that we want to give some more weightage to particular input instead of same. In this case, the weight for each and every input is same. If this becomes 1, this becomes 1, then it is activating that one. The weight is same for each and every one. Now in some cases we need to change the weights of particular inputs. So what we need to do is we just put one multiplier over here. For this input the multiplier is suppose 1. For this input multiplier is suppose 2. For this input multiplier is suppose 4. Likewise we can assign some different multipliers to different inputs. If your input is more important, we can put a higher value of multiplier. If input is less important, then we can put less value of multiplier. So basically the technical term for this multiplier is called as a weights. So these are nothing but the weights of that particular input. This is weight of x1, weight of x2, weight of x3. So better we will see in generalized term, W1 is the weight of x1, W2 is the weight of x2, W3 is the weight of x3, and Wn is weight of xn. So what is happening over here? x1 into W1 plus x2 into W2 plus x3 into W3 plus xn into Wn. And then summation of all this is accumulated in the neuron, checking for the threshold. If it is input is more than the threshold, then your neuron will get fired. This process is called as a linear regression method. So like what is happening over here? Your inputs are x1 W1 plus x2 W2 plus x3 W3 plus xn Wn. So this is nothing but the input for your neuron. And here we are checking the threshold. If this summation is greater than the 4 or greater than any threshold which is poured over here, then this neuron will get fired. So now what we see till now? We see that first of all the biological neuron, and then we just see right now the mathematical model of that particular biological neuron. So now here is a mathematical model of the biological neuron, and it is same replicating the biological neuron over here. But now the main motive what I said before that we want to design a machine which will work on the experience basis. It will learn from the experiences, learn from the training. That means we have to provide a training, and accordingly your network will work. So now what is that thing that we need to look into? The thing is, you have a system, we have an input, we have a processing unit, and we have output, right? So now in this what should happen? We have to provide we have to provide some training data. Then according to training data means what? We have to provide some vectors, input vectors. We have to provide some output vectors of that respective input. Means if there is a particular input, for that particular input we want that particular output. Such vectors we need to create, and such vectors we need to apply for your processing. And then what happens? When you are applying particular input and when you apply this particular output, then your system will automatically adjust themselves, and it will adjust the parameters, different parameters. Means we provided some training inputs, we provided some training outputs. This means this system understand that for this kind of input, your system want this kind of outputs. So this particular system will adjust their own parameters to produce that particular output. So we have to define an algorithm which will change the parameters of your system according to the requirement. So we need to look for such kind of algorithms. So what kind of parameters that we can change? The first parameter is your weight. Weights W1, W2, W3, Wn. So these are the different weights that we are applying for the inputs. So as we change the weights value on the weight, then it will change the importance of that particular input on the neuron, and it will change the firing condition and firing state of the neuron. So to change the behavior of your system, you have to change the different parameters, and one of the important parameter is your weight parameter. So this W1 defines, as if you are changing the weights, you can change the weight. As the weight is changing, the behavior of the neuron will change. As the behavior of the neuron will change, the output behavior of the system will change, and that is what we want for the particular input. The one is weight that we can change. If we put particular, suppose for example x1, W1 is for x1. If I make this W1 as a 0, then the importance of x1 for this particular neuron becomes 0, and it changes the behavior. So that is the first parameter, weight. The second parameter is your bias. Second parameter is your bias. This is a bias. In this case, the bias value is 1, but this need not be necessary always 1. We can keep it as a 2, we can keep it as a 3, or we can keep it as anything value. So if you change this bias value, that also will change the behavior of the neuron. Then the third one is threshold. Threshold. As we see that all the values are accumulated, and then it is checking in this one particular neuron, we are checking for the threshold value. If your inputs are greater than the threshold value, then and then only your neuron will fire. So the neuron behavior depends on your threshold value also. So these parameters are nothing but weights, bias and threshold. So these parameters affects the nature and behavior of the neuron. So we need to design algorithm in a such a way that that particular algorithm will change either weight or bias or threshold or everything to make your system according to your input and output training vectors. Right? So these are parameters. One more parameters, the fourth one, that is architecture. Architecture means only single neuron is not sufficient to work for your system. We need multiple neurons. So as we see like Golgi neurons, all neurons are connected to each other and working in a parallel fashion. Same way, this particular many neurons are connected to each other and they are working in a parallel fashion. So all neurons are in which fashion they are connected to each other, that defines the architecture of the neuron. So architecture also, in which fashion, how we are connected different neurons to each other, that also defines the behavior of it. So by changing this much, by changing the parameters which are mentioned over here, we can change the behavior of particular unit or behavior of particular system, and we can make your system compatible to your training input vector and training output vector. This will be done in a training mode. Once your training mode is over, once your system is adapted for this particular input and output training vectors, then whenever we assign some input for that one, then according to the input, your system will give output for which it is trained, what we given previously. Okay, so that's all about what you can say introduction to neural network. The next objective of this is your introduction to fuzzy logic. So after completing the introduction to neural network, let me move to the next objective, and that objective is introduction to fuzzy logic. In this point, we will be saying what exactly fuzzy logic is. So fuzzy, the name itself implies that we are dealing with something which is very fuzzy. Fuzzy means, if you talk about like dictionary meaning of your fuzzy, that is which is inaccurate, which is not proper. Inaccurate means less accurate. Accuracy is there but with less degree, which is input is not proper, input is little random. So where the system is, as we see the trade-off between accuracy and complexity, in that what happens, as the system's complexity increases, then the accuracy of the system then substantially will reduce, that is inversely proportional. Accuracy is inversely proportional to your complexity. The same way, as we go for more and more difficult and more complex systems, we unable to locate each and every parameter of that system. So what we can do, we can go for some fuzzy system. And then we can tolerate the accuracy in that case. And by tolerating the accuracy, we can reach to the conclusion or we can reach to the result. So here we are just, the fuzzy logic is, the output is, in fuzzy logic, the output is not exact. The output is random, output is not accurate, but we will get the output. Suppose, consider a case that we need to model a system, we have some system, as we seen before, any system having inputs, their processing unit and their output. Suppose the system is from environment, suppose the system is something from environment and it involves lots of parameters. There's like tens of or hundreds of parameters involved in that particular system. So if the parameters is very large, we can't able to locate each and every parameters. So what we can do, we can just relate the input and we can just relate for this set of inputs, this set of output we just wanted. For this set of inputs, this set of output should be produced from that particular system. So that is, in that particular fuzzy logic system is doing the same thing, and always the input may or may not be accurate. For example, many times during our talk we are saying particular system is little, just like for example consider a case that we want to gardening, we want to just watering the garden, we want to put a water, we want to just watering the garden. In that case what happens then? Just we'll say that okay, today there is the climate is little bit humid, so or the climate is rainy, so in that scenario no need to give waters to your garden. In some cases your climate is not that much very dry, in that case you have to give more water to your garden. So what that term defines, more water, less water, slight water, so these are not exactly the modeling of anything. We can't able to model in that particular traditional way. So these are the most, more, less, these are the terminologies somewhere we need to model in the system, and then we need to apply some algorithm on that and we can produce some output in a fuzzy logic. So any system, if you are considering in little bit approximate way, then that system becomes a fuzzy logic. So that's about the fuzzy logic, then why it is using over there. Then that is just introduction. We are not going in much detail of fuzzy logic because in this one mostly we are concentrating on the neural network. So next one, but why I added this point over here? Because the fuzzy logic is part of your soft computing. The two types of scaffolding are neural network and physiology. So second part, first part is the neural network that we finished, and then the physiology. The next point is in the next part we will be looking for McCulloch-Pitts neural network. Already we gone through introduction to neural network, and in that we understand what exactly neural network is and how to create it, and how it's model your neurons, how the biological neuron got modeled with the artificial neural network. Now we will see the two types of neural network. The first is your McCulloch-Pitts neural network, and the second is your Hibs network. So first of all, in McCulloch-Pitts neural network, in any network we already gone through. These are the parameters that weights, bias, threshold and architecture. In any network, these any one of the parameters or in combinations we can change the parameters, their value, their design, and then in all we can change the behavior of that particular neuron, and we can manage for a particular training input, for particular training output will be generated for that particular system by adjusting these parameters, right? So there are lots of different methods. There are lot like perceptron method and backpropagation method. There are lots of methods, and same way McCulloch-Pitts and Hibs. So in this session we will be looking only for two basic methods, that is McCulloch-Pitts neural network and Hibs network method. So first of all we'll see that McCulloch-Pitts neural network. In this case we will be doing the adjustment of only weights, nothing more than that. Only weights or bias, weights and bias. Only these two parameters will be adjusted, and weights and bias, these two parameters will be adjusted, and your network will be provided the output which is provided for the provided input. Means for training input and training output, your parameter is adjusted only by adjusting your weights and bias. But before moving into that point, let's talk about architecture, or we can say as a soft topology. There is one point called as a soft topology. A soft topology, in another way or in another sense, we can say it's as an architecture also. The soft topology is the way that how your networks are connected to each other and how your networks are created a design of the network. So in soft topology, it comes a single layer, the second is called as a multi-layer, and the third one, soft topology, is your competitive. Right? So in soft topology, we are having these three types. One is your single layer, second is your multi-layer, and the third one is your competitive. So let's see what is in single layer. In single layer, you will be having only one layer of neurons. Only one layer of neurons. The neurons are not at all connected. In one layer, the neurons, how the layer will be identified? In one layer, the neurons are not at all connected to each other. Those all comes under single layer. So this is neuron, we have input, we have multiple inputs. Inputs can be connected, but neurons are not connected to each other. Right? So this is input x1, x2, x3 and x4. And we have a neuron like N1, N2, N3 and N4. So whatever the output are created from this neuron, those will be directly your output. Output Y1, Y2, Y3 and Y4. So this is your single layer neural network. We have one set of input, we have one set of neural network which are not interconnected. These neurons are not at all interconnected to each other, and then what is the output are provided by this neuron, those are directly your output layer. So if neurons are connected or neurons architecture is created or design is created in this fashion, then that is called as a single layer neuron architecture. So let's talk about multi-layer neuron architecture. So in multi-layer, so you can see that I just drawn the two layers of neurons. So for this we are giving input same way, x1, x2, x3 and x4, right? And this is your n1, n2, n3, n4, and this is your another set of this one, n5, n6, n7 and n8. So in multi-layer we'll be having a neurons n1, n2, n3, n4 in one layer, and another layer is combination of n5, n6, n7 and n8. As we seen before, in one layer the neurons are not at all interconnected, but in between the layers the neurons can be interconnected. Same way, it's like this is the output of this neuron, this can be connected to n5 or n6 or n8 or anything anywhere over here. Same way, this can be connected to n7, n5, n8 likewise. So in multi-layer the neurons are interconnected in between the two layers, and then we'll get, and after that we'll get the output layer. So in output layer we'll get y1, y2, y3 and y4. So you can see here, in multi-layer network or multi-layer architecture, we'll be having multiple neurons layer in between your input and output layers. This is your input layer, this is your output layer, and in between we have multiple layers. So what is the name for these layers? So these layers are called as a hidden layers. These layers are called as a hidden layers. Input layer, in between hidden layers, and then we have a output layers. In case of single layer, we have input layer, output layer and neuron layer. That's it. Only that we have. So this is your multi-layer neuron, this is your single layer neuron, and the last one is competitive neuron. We can say in competitive, we can't able to bifurcate the layers of the neurons. Because how we are bifurcating this layer? Because in this one layer, the neurons are not at all interconnected. But that is not case over here. Every neuron can connect it to each other in any fashion. Kind of. We have input layer. These are the two inputs. These are the two, y1, y2. These are the your outputs. And in between, we have the connections in random fashion. The neurons can be connected in the same layer. Neuron can be connected in the different layer. So there is no restrictions for the connections of the neuron. So if your network is in this fashion, in this architecture, that becomes a computer architecture. Your single layer architecture, multi-layer architecture, and the last one that we gone through, that is your competitive architectures. But why I explain this part over here? Because the maculopits are applied. The second last point what we are looking into, that is your maculopits. That maculopits can be applied only to your single layer. That is single layer architectures. So as the architecture grows from single layer to multi-layer to competitive layer, it's the complexity, the problem complexity is increasing. We can able to implement more and more difficult neurons and more difficult problems we can able to solve it. The problems which can't unable to solve in single layer, that can be solved in multi-layer. The problems which are not solved in multi-layer, that can be solved in a competitive layer. So for just introduction purpose, in this session we are dealing with only single layer problems, right? And the problems in the maculopits. So maculopits, very simple one. This is a simple application of your neural network. In this case, by just observation, already we seen that there were 4 parameters. Those were bias, your threshold, your architecture, and your bias, threshold, architecture and weight. These 4 parameters we have to adjust, and then for your training input and output will be design our system. So in maculopits, already we see in maculopits we are designing it according to or by adjusting the weights. So the weights will be adjusted in maculopits. Weights are adjusted just manually by just observation. will be observation the inputs and input vectors and output vector, and then to produce that what should be the value of the weights that will be observed, and manually we will be putting that weights on that. Let's see one example. Let me design a macular pits of AND gate. AND gate of two inputs. So one input is x1, another input is x2. Your output is y. Only one output we have. So your input vector is 0, 0. For 0, 0, what should be the AND gate output value? That should be 0. 0, 1, what should be the AND gate of the output y? 0. 1, 0, what should the output y? 0. 1, 1, what should the output y? That is 1. So this table is nothing but your input and output pair, that is what you expected from your system. That means you have to implement a system in a such a way that your inputs are x1, x2 and your output is y. So if your input is 0, 0, output should be 0. 0, 1, output should be 0. 1, 0, output should be 0. 1, 1, for 1, 1, your output should be 1. So we need to design this system. So that we have to design with the neural network. So now let's see that macular pits how it is. So what we have in a neural network, and we are dealing with only single layer. We don't want to move in a multi-layer. So that's why it's a single application we want to see. We have two inputs, x1, another input x2. We have over here, this is called as neuron, and we have output as y. Now this is a neuron that we need to implement. Now this neuron should behave as an AND gate. So for that, what you have to design, there are weights W1, W2. There is a threshold over here applied. Just by we'll adjust the weights and threshold, and this particular neuron will work as a AND gate over here. Let's assume a case over here. So we want to make suppose like this is a 0 and this is a 1. Right? Just consider input. So it's 0 and 0 and 0. 0, 0. Consider W1 is equal to 1 and W2 is also equal to 1. So in this case, 0, 0, 0 into 1, 0, 0 into 1, 0. Here is comes here 0. So 0, we have to put some threshold. Right? Just consider we have a threshold value as a 0. So what will happen? 0 to 1, 0, 0 to 1, 0. What happens? x1, your equation input is W1 x1 plus W2 x2. You will not consider the bias, just we consider W1 x1 plus W2 x2. Then that is your input, total input. This is your total input. And if this input is greater than threshold, then your output will be y is 1. If this input is less than threshold, your y will be 0. Now, the threshold what we consider, that threshold we consider as a 0, just by observation we are doing it. W1 we put 1, W2 1. So what is this one? 0 plus 0, that total value is 0, that 0, this one is this one. So we can say as a less than or equal to 0 then. So in that case what will happen? Then output y becomes 0. So for 0, 0, for 0, 0, output should be 0. Are we getting it? Yes, we are getting. If x1 and x2 both are 0, then that is equal to 0, that is equal to threshold, and your output will be as 0. Let's consider another case. x1 is 0 and x2 is 1. So what will happen over here? W1 x1, so this is 0 plus W2 x2. W2 x2. What is this value becomes? 1 into 1 becomes 1. So this becomes 1. So 1, what is the value of threshold? Threshold value is 0. Obviously 1 is greater than your threshold. This input is greater than the threshold. Whenever your input is greater than the threshold, output y becomes 1. So for second pair, for this input, your y output becomes 1. But what we want, is this our requirement? No. We want y is 0 for that case. So what we'll do, we'll increase the threshold to 1. We'll make it threshold to 1. Now let's check your input again. We just change threshold 1 now. Now your input is x1 w1 0, x2 w2 1, 0 plus 1, sum becomes 1. Now your threshold value is 1. Now because your threshold value is 1, what will happen? 1, 1. If your input is less than or equal to threshold, output is 0. If input is greater than threshold, then output becomes 1. So let's consider a case. Now 0, 1 is input, total sum is 1. So that 1 is equal to your threshold value. So output y 0. This is the output y and this is expected y. Does output y and expected y both are same? Yes, both are matching. That means it is this particular neuron is following the AND gate. Next case we'll see 1 and 0. Now in this case, this x1 is 1 and this is 0. Total input 1. 1 threshold value on this same. Same means your output is not fired. So y again 0. So your output y is 0 and your expected y is 0. Again both are matching. So it is true for this case also. Now let's check condition the last case for this macular bits now. Now both our inputs are 1 1. So x1 into w1 1, x2 into w2 1. 1 plus 1. The total input becomes 2. So as your total input becomes 2, then it is greater than your threshold. If it is greater than your threshold, then your output y becomes 1. So for the last one, again for the last pair of inputs, the expected y and your output y is both are same, and then this is nothing but the design of your AND gate using macular bits. We are just adjusted the weights according to requirement.